always do here on your Super Morning Show every Tuesday morning. But social media messages on the Super Morning Show are brought to you by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, and Telecel 4G Just a Touch. Now, education is one thing Barclays Absa Group Limited never compromises on. Absa invested millions of dollars to educate thousands of students all over Africa, including Ghana. In 2017 alone, we prepared over 200,000 students for the workplace through our Ready to Work program. Welcome to Absa Group Limited. Absa proudly serving you in Ghana as Barclays. So I'll be back in some 5 minutes. When I come back, I'll go straight to Manasseh, who has some interesting responses for Martin Amidu's latest epistle. After which Petrina and Kwame would also have a bite on their issues that worry them the most about Ghana and the solutions thereof. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Good morning, NDK. My name is Iresi. My biggest headache is mobilizing money to meet the educational needs of my children. What products does NDK have for this purpose?
Good morning, Iresi. My name is Rosalind. We understand that one of the distressing moments for every parent is the thought of mobilizing money to meet the educational needs of their wards on a regular basis. Parents usually rely on savings, borrowings, etc. to meet this need. With the NDK Education Plan, the initial investment allows parents to enjoy quarterly payments of their interest or principal. For more information, call NDK's toll-free line 0800 123 123 or visit us at ndkfinancialservices.com.
Greater Works 2019. Bishop Tudor Bismarck.
As an African, we've been in the fire. We've been brutalized. We've been broken. But we've been getting stronger and stronger.
Pastor Matthew Washimolo.
I prophesy the kind of people who will come into your life will change your level. They will change your thinking. They will change your story.
Bishop Mike Okonkwo.
Your story will never end in shame. It will never end in disgrace. This is your time. This is your time. Greater Works, this is your time.
Conference host, Pastor Mensa Otabil.
We bless the land. We bless the people of the land. We bless the work of the people. We bless the leaders with wisdom. We bless nations by the hand of the Lord.
Song ministration, Nathaniel Bassett, Intokozo Mbambo, Mahalia Buchanan, Joe Metal, Koda, Lumina, and Accra Symphony Orchestra. Date, Monday 29th July to Friday 2nd August. Evening sessions, Independence Square, Accra. Morning sessions, ICGC Christ Temple, Abosilkai. Greater Works 2019. Bigger, better, and greater.
Charlie, so it's actually raining and we can't hear any sound. As for this, your house, when it's raining, no sound. When the sun is up, the interior is cool. What roof are you using?
They use Ico Roofing Shingles from Interface Limited. Long lasting and beautiful.
Ico Roofing Shingles. We all for move to Interface and get this Ico Roofing Shingles.
Interface Limited is the leading supplier and installer of finishing input materials for the building and construction industry in Ghana. Call us on 0274 999999 or visit our website at www.interfacelimited.com.
Let's go,
My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
promo way there. I had the. Some go so you so me mumu no. If you say MTN Echimacha dia no, e dia two table. Brand new Samsung 65-inch UHD smart TV. Na brand new 2019 Hyundai. And I feel 3,000 Ghana there. You should go say mono. MTN mumu. Still Misaka, the journey of 1,000 smiles. You shall see 10 years ago. And to celebrate this milestone, MTN give you away exciting prizes in the MTN Momo Attend promo. Yeah, you use Momo no. You could win one of the 2019 Hyundai i10 cars. Yes, some or Samsung smart TVs for baby. And they up to 3,000 cedis e-cash every month. And a grand prize, 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe in the MTN Momo Attend promo. Into signing on and keep using your MTN Momo. Now when it big, if it's happy, I could see August only on Ghana's best network. Dial *120#. Now check your points. Terms and conditions apply. Just Momo it. We're there for you everywhere you go.
Do not improvise an autogas cylinder. Make sure the autogas cylinder is properly installed by a qualified technician. Always keep a fire extinguisher handy in case of a fire. Stand at a safe distance and attack the base of the flames. Avoid decanting LPG from one cylinder to the other. Domestic transfer of LPG should be avoided. Cars fitted with autogas cylinders should be filled at the appropriate filling stations. A message from the National Petroleum Authority.
A minute past 9 exactly here on your Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. Happy blessed birthday to Princess Phoebe Na Ahine Dromo Amatefio ish. Phoebe Na Ahine Dromo Amatefio of Golden Age School. May you grow in grace and wisdom and excel in your new year. We love and cherish you from your daddy Ronnie, mommy Gifty, and little sis Kimmy. Please, we had a chaotic moment during the Joy Beauty and Bridal Fair. Phoebe, have yourself a super birthday. All right then, I'm coming back to Manasseh and Kwame and Petrina after the Joy Business Minute. Stay with us.
It has been our major concern.
It's Friday and you're welcome to the Joy Business Minute.
It's Charles and Sheila.
Apologies for that slight hiccup on the Joy Business Minute there. Let me just come straight to Manasseh and speak with him now. So Manasseh, we are starting with you because your pet peeve this morning is corruption and you have a message for Mr. Amidu.
Yes, Daniel. I wanted to talk about corruption, and as part of the requirement for this morning's discussion, we're asked to look at solutions. Before I set off, I found a letter written by Mr. Martin Amidu on our platform, and I decided to read it. And the very first sentence of Martin Amidu's letter made me lose hope, because in this regime, his office has been touted to be the leader when we are talking about the fight against corruption. And when Martin Amidu was appointed, there was a unanimous praise from all over the country that he was the best person for the job. And I agreed. But reading this morning's letter made me extremely sad. And the conclusion I came to was that, look, Martin Amidu is better off resigning, because if he continues this way, every credibility that he has would sink. And why am I saying this? Let me just, for those who have not seen the letter, let me just read the very first sentence and paragraph. He says the biggest challenge facing the office of the special prosecutor as an anti-corruption investigatory and prosecutorial body, in spite of all the powers conferred upon it, is not the president who promised the people of Ghana to establish the office, but the heads of institutions who simply refuse to comply with laws designed to ensure good governance and to protect the national purse by fighting corruption. So the very first sentence is exonerating the president. We know the record of Mr. Martin Amidu and what he did when President Mahama was in office. Almost every letter Martin Amidu wrote pointed to the fact that the fight against corruption was not yielding any meaningful results because the president was not committed. And once the president is not committed, nothing would work. And he made statements to the effect that even including Woyome's money, that the best way to get it is to vote Mahama out. So if in one regime, the president is central and very key to the fight against corruption, then in another regime, your very first reason is to take the president out and blame the heads of public institutions. Who appoints these heads of public institutions and the ministries that are refusing Martin Amidu information? And if you read further, he said they are not complying and giving information despite the fact that the president has advised them against it. So
is he wrong?
He may not be wrong, but if the president appoints somebody and also appoints Martin Amidu to fight corruption, and one appointee is refusing to give Martin Amidu information to fight corruption, and the president talks and the person is not listening, and the president keeps that person in office, and so for me, I've advised them, they are not taking it, then you, Martin Amidu, think that the president cannot fire those people for that. And before this letter came, we have a personal example. In 2017, when we did the Robbing the Assemblies documentary, the CID and the Attorney General have been working on this matter. And I was told by the Attorney General, including the CID, that the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development and also the District Assemblies Common Fund are making their work on this matter very difficult because they are not cooperating and giving information. The Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development is headed by somebody appointed by President Akufo-Addo. The District Assemblies Common Fund is headed by somebody appointed by President Akufo-Addo. So if these people are hampering the fight against corruption and the president is looking on, and Martin Amidu wants the whole Ghana to believe that the president has no role in this. Sometimes we say that, well, the president may not know what is happening in the country.
Which is what I was going to ask.
Which is what my role model when it comes to writing, Chinua Achebe, stated in his book, The Trouble with Nigeria. And I'm just reading a part that he talks about corruption and also about the presidents, how they are. He says that quite recently, an astonishing statement credited to President Shagari was given some publicity in Nigeria and abroad. According to the media, our president said words to the effect that there was corruption in Nigeria, but it had not yet reached alarming proportions. My frank and honest opinion is that anybody who can say that corruption in Nigeria has not yet become alarming is either a fool, a crook, or else does not live in this country. Shagari is neither a fool nor a crook, so I must assume that he lives abroad, which is not as strange or fanciful as some might think. Many presidents, especially third world presidents, do not live in their country. One of the penalties of exalted power is loneliness, harnessed to the entrappings of protocol and blockaded by a buffer of grinning courtiers and sycophants. Even a good and intelligent leader will gradually begin to forget what the real world looks like. So that is the reality. So we can give the president the benefit of the doubt that in some of these cases, he may not be aware. But I have taken the initiative on the case I cited, the Robbing the Assemblies documentary.
Okay.
I have taken the initiative to approach the presidency with information to the effect that, look, these institutions investigating or working on this case say they face these difficulties from persons appointed by the president.
Okay.
So I assume or I know they know this. Besides officials at the presidency, I have also reached out through very close family members of the president. So in the past, I could say that, well, the president is not aware, but now I'm very sure he's aware of all of this. So the point is, if we are to fight corruption in this country, and the foremost institution that everybody is very hopeful, the leader of that institution, who we think is the best to occupy that position, is now reading from the book of Lamentation, telling us that the fight is becoming hopeless. Heads of state institutions are not willing to cooperate. And we know state institutions, the ministries, and when he mentions state institutions, but some of them are the ministries, I know that for a fact, that he's requested information from ministries that he did not get. So if all of these are happening and the person who appointed all these people is not acting, who do we blame?
Manasseh has an interesting question there. And you see, Kwame, the heart of this kind of conversation we have is also to shine the torch on citizens as well and the role that we play. So I guess the question I'm asking is the fight against corruption down to the president in the office of special prosecutor?
Honestly, I don't think it is. I think citizens have a very important role to play. And it's quite disturbing hearing Manasseh's submission. And as a Ghanaian, everyone would agree that it's worrying. But here's the thing. We seem to have a pirate mentality in the society. Everyone is trying to get a leg up. Everyone is trying to reap where they haven't sown. It cuts across. Look at how we drive on our roads in the morning. You know, there was a show recently where they are stopping cars, driving on the road shoulders and whatnot. Where are those people going? How much more important is what they're going to do compared to everybody else on the road? So ultimately, what do you see happening? Everyone starts cutting the lines as well. Look at how we mercilessly extract value from politicians during campaign seasons. You trade your vote for, goodies. You have essentially engaged in a financial transaction. It's a business transaction. And so when a politician goes and doesn't seek your interest as you think, I'm sorry, you sow those seeds very early on.
He's simply making good on his investment.
Exactly. It is a business transaction. We cannot do that. Look at how our chiefs, some of the chiefs are treating citizens when it comes to things like land purchases and whatnot. Just, people's aspiring homeowners, their dreams to buy land and find a place of their own, essentially they get taken, right? It gets sold to multiple people. And how often do we see in the media, at least, anywhere, of chiefs being arrested? And they are signs being arrested for engaging in this kind of behavior. Then you look at people like pastors in our society. So these are all people in leadership. These are us, but at the same time, it's also the leaders in our society. Look at how some pastors are behaving today. I mean, you some of it is so high on entertainment value, it wouldn't be, you would consider it comical if it wasn't so morbid. They are fleecing the flock and drowning out legitimate religious leaders. And here we are. This is unfortunately what is happening. We are beginning to have a trust deficit amongst ourselves and for our leaders. And this is very worrying.
So, Petrina, whenever arguments like what Kwame raises now are brought up, this catchphrase, leaders are a product of their own society, it comes in.
Exactly.
But is it fair to say that the indiscipline we see in the citizenry should necessarily reflect in leadership?
So my response to that is, I always talk to people about these things. We always have these conversations, and I say politicians are not aliens. They're not a special breed of people. It's not even a monarchy where you can say it's only this family that gets to lead the nation, right? They are us and we are them. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about in terms of my pet peeve is the lack of self-discipline. What's happening is that most of the time when we are looking for change, we're talking about macro level change. There should be this policy, government should do this, NGOs should do this, they should do that. But then I think attaining integrity or reducing corruption is kind of like building a structure with wood, right? You can get the best wood there is, but if it's been compromised by termites and stuff like that, you can build the structure, use engineering to have a solid structure, but it will crumble because the individual components are not solid. And that's why I think that when we're talking about corruption, we're talking about self-discipline, it has to start from the individual. We have to make that personal decision ourselves to do better. a lot of people who criticize, we have to ask ourselves things like, do I cut across people in traffic, like you were saying? In the office, do I ask people to give me a certain cut so I can give them a deal? I can give them whatever contract my company has. Am I stealing from my boss to go and open my company somewhere? So it's like we look at the politicians, they're just us who have access to larger funds.
So you agree with the idea that they are just a reflection of society?
They are a reflection of exactly who we are. I think that if you're an individual, if we get to the point where when we are about to judge or criticize those in power, we ask ourselves, who am I willing to pay to get something done faster for me? How is that different from what he or she is doing when they're in power? Because we're all doing it in our micro levels.
Okay.
Before the passport office came up with the expedited process, people were paying. People were jumping queues. People were paying monies to do things that...
Katrina, people are still paying.
Exactly.
Even after the expedited
Even after
process.
Exactly. I heard a story, I think, as bogus as it sounds, someone got his record wiped at the passport office so he could get a new passport. Entirely.
Yeah, bounce with visas.
Exactly. You see, and so if you're doing this at the micro level, who are you to say to judge those up there?
The president and Martin Amidu and
they're
what
just
have you.
lucky that they have access to big funds. That's the only difference. But we are exactly who they are. As a
Manasseh,
people.
she's throwing a gauntlet at you.
Well, I disagree, and fortunately, no, what she said, that's what a lot of people say, so it's not her opinion alone, but I disagree. And then Bryce Simmons also tweeted something 2 days ago, and it says, the most annoying and most ridiculous excuse for poor quality African politician is this, quote, they are a reflection of the society. Hello? If we wanted a reflection, we would have bought a mirror. The whole point of leadership is to change society and not to come and reflect it.
But the question about that is these leaders started from somewhere. So if before they come into power, they don't have a sense of integrity or self-discipline, their leadership will reflect that.
No, they always have that integrity, because when President Akufo-Addo, for instance, was campaigning, the whole nation was made to believe that this is an incorruptible man. Not only was he incorruptible, but he also had a no-nonsense disposition to corruption. He wouldn't tolerate any such thing. So they came to us and presented this image to us. So in my wildest imagination, I never even imagined that somebody who would be accused of wrongdoings in maritime authority, investigations start, we haven't even gotten to know where they are ending, and that same person would get an appointment to head the board of Ghana Revenue Authority, an institution that should work with the highest level of integrity. So the leaders come to us with a particular set of qualities. They
presented qualities and not the qualities they
that is what
possess.
they tell us. So that's what we are supposed to hold them to. Because I never thought President Akufo-Addo, for instance, was blemished. I didn't know of any corrupt act he was involved in, so I believed him. Okay, that was his biggest selling point. That is what leadership is about. They told us this is what, and Mahama's regime, for instance, they told these people are corrupt, and they are corrupt because the leader is corrupt. If you want to solve corruption, change the leadership. Martin Amidu even said it. So when we have new leadership and that leadership is failing, and it is telling us that it's a reflection of the society, I will never buy that. It doesn't make sense.
Right. I think you make a point about that, right? But I think that there's a balance. So leadership will always, and remember, it's not just the president. Right now we have about 100 and something ministers.
Appointed by the president.
Right.
So he won't appoint crooks.
Exactly.
He appoints people who...
Right. But
yes,
here's the thing.
he trusts.
So people will get into positions of power who will reflect what our society really is. But at the same time, we know that for corruption to be tackled everywhere in the world, it has worked. It's a function of leadership commitment. True. And so when we say it reflects the society, it doesn't mean we're accepting it. Exactly. And it's the reason why you saw what happened in the last election, for instance, that this president was elected. And I think there are people who, even on both sides of the political divide, will acknowledge that he may have had that reputation of being no nonsense, incorruptible, and whatnot. And then we still have some of these issues happening. So I think holding leadership accountable and holding leadership to be responsible for making sure that whatever society looks like today, they will lead the charge to change it, is something that we as citizens must demand. And so neither, this is not mutually exclusive. We may reflect that, but we expect and should demand that leadership leads in driving some of this change. And we should expect that of our president as well.
I like Kwame's contribution because Kwame seems to drive towards what a solution would look like in terms of the citizenry holding leadership up to a certain standard. I remember a leader has been defined for me once as a person who has arrived at a point in the future and is trying to get everyone else to get there physically. But Kwame, you have to admit here that even who to hold accountable in this Martin Amidu Akufo-Addo situation is neither here nor there. Is it the state institutions? Is it Martin Amidu himself? Is it President Akufo-Addo? Where do we even start?
This goes back to this issue we have in this country of political polarization of our discussions. Unfortunately, we don't get the opportunity often to hear fact-based. Fortunately, this network has done a good job in having such discussions. But when such things come up, we're not able to have very fact-based discussions that are devoid of all the cacophony. We don't. And that type of polarization has not been good for us. I mean, I'll just, branch into this discussion that happened recently. There was a supposed US base and there was so much back and forth.
Yeah.
And ideally, that discussion should have been about what our foreign policy views were, who our allies were, the extent of our friendship and commitments. Instead, we had people who have been beneficiaries of diplomatic privileges, mounting podiums and talking about things that have been standard for years, privileges that have existed for years. And so in the end, the conversation became about a certain food seller's daughter being protected versus what the reality was. And in the end, everything just falls apart. We can't do this. These are legitimate discussions that we need to have. And I think it's important that we amplify the voices of reason, that we don't entertain the voices of chaos and confusion. This issue that is being raised about corruption, it always gets muddied. Nothing happens. And then we're back to the cycle again and complaining. We need to have very sincere and honest discussions when it comes to corruption. And we need to, as much as possible, avoid all that political polarization in such discussion. It doesn't help anyone.
I love that thought, Petrina, but really, for us to even find a solution, we need to find a picture of what is wrong. Do you have an idea?
I still stand by what I say. So I guess maybe in expressing myself, it may have sounded as though I was saying we should accept that, they're a reflection of who we are. We should hold leaders accountable. But then imagine this, if even 50% of us decided that I'll stop crossing red lights, I won't steal from my employer, I will make sure I get to work on time and leave on time. Whenever I'm given money to do certain things, I'll account for it. If I'm given the power to give a contract to someone who's bidding, I'll give it to a competent person. And we start that now, right, as young professionals who are hopefully tomorrow's leaders. If each person, 50% of us, decide to make that decision individually and hold ourselves accountable, because one of the things that when we hold leadership accountable, which we should, and every discussion is about they should, responsibility is taken from us. So we don't see how the little decisions we make every day contribute overall to our nation's corruption. I'm a part of it, you are a part of it. But it starts with asking ourselves, what is it that you're going to do? I'll give an example. I hadn't stuck my insurance sticker on the car because we hadn't picked it up from the insurance company. And I was thinking to myself, okay, let me just drive. If I get pulled over, if you just give them something, they'll let you go. I haven't done anything wrong. I have a picture of it. I've paid for it. But then I said to myself, that you keep talking about corruption. What are you doing to prevent that? So that day I parked and I drove. I took an Uber. So my thing is, each individual, in addition to holding leadership accountable, how can you, because hopefully if you're given the chance to lead the country, you will. As you are right now, the values that you have, if you become a leader and they're amplified, you might be worse than the worst. up there.
Shudder to think what will happen if Manasseh is given the chance to lead this country. Manasseh, I saw you nodding.
Yes, I also agree with the fact that we have a role to play. My disagreement is the fact that the leaders are justified in what they are doing, because that's how we all are.
I don't think that's what. I don't think that's what Petrina tries
but
to do.
we do have a role to play, every one of us. So when we are talking about corruption, for instance, if you're a journalist and you expect the politician not to be corrupt, and you, the journalist, stumble upon a story, and then somebody brings you a bag of cash, that take this and sort yourself out. You don't even have a good place to sleep. You don't drive a good car. You're even walking. So sort yourself out, and then you leave this matter to us. We see how we deal with it. If you, the journalist, take this money and you don't do the story, I don't think you are justified in any way to accuse any politician of being corrupt. So all of us have a role to play. But in every society, you'd always find lawbreakers, because the roads are saying we are able to drive from our homes to this place, not because the police are there to arrest everybody who misconducts themselves, but there are a majority of us who believe that it is right to obey road traffic regulations. Because if we all decide not to obey, there are not enough police persons to arrest everybody. So there are a good number of people who are doing the right thing. The trouble here is those who are born to be lawbreakers, whether they are born or whether they learn it, wherever they get it from, there are such people in every society. When they start breaking the law and then nobody punishes them, it becomes a disincentive to obey the law. Because if you are all in the queue and somebody comes to then jump, if you're coming from East Legon and you get to Flower Port, that underbridge, you find a lot of vehicles queuing to cross. Then some people would pass the other way and come. If they are politicians, the police will just salute them. If you are always in the queue, running late, then with time it becomes like perhaps you are an idiot, because you don't know how to also get
convenience for you to obey the law.
So with time, some people also get fed up, and there's this saying that if you can't beat them, you join them.
Yes.
So there are bad people everywhere, but leadership is supposed to correct these things and then make it attractive to be law-abiding in this country. Currently, it is not attractive to be a law-abiding citizen in this country.
In a sentence, what can citizens do? Leadership should do, we understand. So in a sentence, what can citizens do?
Citizens, 1, don't take part. 2, if you see another person doing it, don't close your eyes and then look the other way. You can also challenge them. We have videos recently of people who challenge others to pick litter.
Yeah.
Somebody drops the litter, you will not drop it. But don't say somebody drops it, so that's not your business. Tell them to what? Pick it up. You'll be doing your part. It is not always easy. There are times you'll be insulted, abused. Somebody asked me, "Are they ufini?" Yes. They will go to the extent of asking whether you sleep here. But 1, don't do it yourself. And 2, if somebody is doing the wrong thing, don't look away.
All right. Manasseh Azuri-Awuni, you have presented your pet peeve and the solutions. Actually, in the midst of the conversation, we actually had Petrina and Kwame bring up theirs. But I want you guys to zoom in on your solution. So, Kwame, you mentioned politicization, political polarization in our conversations, and also this pirate mentality. What are the real solutions for that?
I think there are a couple of things. And interestingly, I read an article this weekend. I don't know if it's a new or old article about the Veep, indicating that essentially encouraging technocrats to get involved in politics. It's shocking how much talent we have as a country. The places you go and you see Ghanaians doing amazing things. And surprisingly, in the policy space, you'd be surprised how much Ghana has that other countries are actually replicating. So why does it never get to implementation? I think there's an important call in there. Doesn't matter what your political beliefs are. Technocrats need to get involved in the political arena when they can. Secondly, citizens need to get involved in one way or the other. Look, Pakwesi Ndum, for all the challenges he may have been encountering now, started off as an assemblyman. Get involved somehow. hold your politicians accountable. And for party supporters, you have to really look at things from two perspectives. First, every political party in this country we have has some ideology. Unfortunately, it looks sometimes, it's hard to tell whether they are committed to these ideologies. And if you're a political party supporter and your party is going the wrong way, not living up to its own beliefs, I think it's up to you. It's your responsibility, first and foremost, to raise your hand and draw them back so that someone else does not have to say it. I think that's the first thing. If you have some commitment to ideology. Then to the issue of...
I have a question on some of the points you've raised.
Okay.
What is the vehicle that we can use to get involved? I mean, Ross Perot just died.
Ross Perot just died, yes.
Yeah, the only man to have really made a significant independence bid for the American election. In the number of years that they have been independent, you have to be Democrat or Republican to be president.
Absolutely, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, it's a challenge. But here's the thing, and by the way, George Bush Sr. always doesn't like talking about him for that same reason. But the truth is, look, often we recognize that reality, and most people either find themselves being ideologically, capitalists when it comes to economy and maybe social, everyone falls somewhere. You may not like the current structure of the parties. You can go independent. And remember, you don't even have to join at that level. There are very, very many opportunities to volunteer and make input in policy. There are many opportunities to also participate in the political arena. So I think it's up to each individual to look at it. And I also think we need to have more women in our politics. I think we've had a largely male-dominated political sphere for a very long time. And it's about time we made deliberate efforts. And I think that the parties are beginning to do this to ramp up the number of women in our politics. I think the final thing I'll also highlight in terms of this whole solution is, look, one good way of addressing the corruption issue is not just discipline and enforcing the laws, but automation.
Ooh.
When you start so that's why this whole effort to digitize and automate things is important. When you reduce the environment for human intervention, you also reduce the opportunities for corruption. And I think it's up to us to take some of these initiatives seriously so that we can reduce the instance of corruption. Corruption is a tax. It's a tax on citizens. And we have to look at it from that perspective.
Okay.
And so I think if we can focus on things like that, we begin to make those efforts. We are citizens. We owe it to each other to make sure that we begin to build a better future for ourselves. This is not working.
So Kwame has to say that a technocrat citizen should get involved. We should have more automation in our systems, of course. And we spent a bit of time talking about how exactly technocrats and citizens should get involved. You said a bit about the pirate mentality. I'll leave that for when we go to the next leg of our discussion. But Petrina, can you in 30 seconds tell me what you think is the solution to the mass indiscipline, which in Daniel Daz's view is the basis for what Kwame mentioned and for what Manasseh mentioned?
Exactly. So yes, in addition to macro level intervention, each individual needs to ask themselves, in what ways am I corrupt? Because we all are. And in what ways can I make that change? If we do care about Ghana as much as we do when someone has stolen a certain amount of money from government, then we should be as passionate at the micro level. So for me, my challenge is each individual that's listening today, just ask yourself, in what ways can you cut down on the corruption that you are carrying out in your life?
Like when you decided to take the Uber.
Exactly.
Yeah, that works.
I was proud of myself.
27 minutes to the top of the hour. This is the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. Do not do wrong yourself. Don't condone wrong. That actually captures Manasseh and Petrina's thoughts there. And get involved in nation building if you can. That also captures the heart of what Kwame is talking about. Are the solutions beyond us? Obviously, they aren't, because we've already developed a few of them in the past 20 or so minutes of conversation. Now, Kingdom Books and Stationery offers a 30-day credit facility with no interest charge. We deliver free within Accra, Tema, and surrounding towns. Call us on 030-276-4101 or 762307 or visit kingdomgh.com. Kingdom Books and Stationery Limited, your number one stop shop for all office essentials, stationery and furniture. Now, the journey of 1,000 smiles began 10 years ago, and to celebrate this, MTN is giving away 10 brand new Hyundai cars in the MTN Momo at 10 promo including the all-new 2019 Hyundai Santa Fe as the grand prize. You could also win other exciting prizes like Samsung Smart TVs, up to 3,000 Ghana cedis in eCash each month, and so much more. Just keep using your MTN Momo more for your everyday transactions to build points and win big from now till the end of August, only on Ghana's best network. Remember, promo winners would only be called with 0244 300,000. Again, winners will not be contacted through text messages, nor be asked to pay any money to redeem their prizes. Dial *120# to check your points. Terms and conditions apply. Go on, just Momo it. We there for you everywhere you go. 26 minutes till we hit 10 a.m. We'll be back. Stay with us.
At Afrodan, we believe that many of the problems people have with their health is as a result of the way they sit. In other words, your chair can kill you. Here's Dr. Marcus Mann of the Chiropractic and Wellness Center.
What you have to remember is that the spine is the lifeline to your body, and posture is the window to that spine. Now, posture is affected by your daily activities and habits like sitting. That's why at the Chiropractic and Wellness Centers, we recommend what I believe to be the best chairs available for preventing not only subluxations, but also other health problems that you may not be aware of. And that's Rabami and Mobilex chairs. Unfortunately, on a daily basis, I have to correct the effects of this poor sitting habit in our businessmen and businesswomen. Always remember, optimal spine equals optimum health.
So, for the sake of your health, buy Rabami or Mobilex chairs from Afrodan. We're on the first floor of the Swansea Shopping Arcade. Telephone 663-085.
Daddy, I bet you enjoyed your trip abroad.
Oh, yes. It was worth every peso. And the experience was breathtaking. The beautiful environment, the culture, and the food. Oh my, until I got terribly sick.
Perhaps from eating too many new dishes.
But you know, thanks to my Glyco travel insurance policy, all my medical bills were paid for the 3 days that I was on admission.
Really? Glyco travel insurance policy?
Yes, my dear. Glyco travel insurance is the best. Look, it covers medical and emergency services, personal assistance services, emergency return home, personal liability such as legal defense fee, loss of baggage, personal accidents, trip cancellation, or even delayed departure. And even these are the ones I remember off my head.
Yes, Glyco Travel Insurance has a worldwide cover and widely accepted by embassies, both Shenzhen and non-Shenzhen. Visit any of our Glyco offices nationwide or call 020-422-113 or 055-5305-547 for ready assistance from our experienced support team. Be safe, travel protected, and have a peace of mind. Glyco, we cushion you for life.
From importers to exporters, direct to indirect workers, you and I, the MPS Terminal 3 is great news to us all.
As a trader, doing business at the port has become easy. The machines are very modern and clearing goods has become very fast.
As a port worker, it is a great joy to be part of over 1,000 Ghanaians working here. This new facility means a lot to us.
As a cocoa farmer, I have more markets to export my products. The entire world can now taste my cocoa, bringing me and my family more income.
The MPS Terminal 3 is a game changer. MPS has invested in world-class equipment and technology to optimize the efficiency of doing business at Temaport. This means more jobs, development, and opportunities for our present and our future in Ghana. MPS, we connect, you thrive.
Solar Tech, the power to protect. Yes! Solartech, your tried and trusted brand, is your total solution to all power problems, whether low voltage, high voltage, power surges, spikes, brownouts, or what have you. Solartech fully protects your valuable equipment. No matter your appliance, we have the perfect Solartech for you. Choose from my tried and trusted range, such as Fridge Guard, TV Guard, High Volt Guard, Multi Guard, AVS 13, AVS 30, AC Guard, Solartech TV Stab, Solartech Fridge Stab, UPS, and Solartech Voltage Stabilizer. Beware of counterfeit Solartech products. Get your genuine Solartech products today at our Abelinkpe office and all our authorized dealers across the country. Contact us at number 10 Yiwa Street, Abelinkpe, or call 0302-761450 or 0302-775106. Solartech, the power to protect.
Syndicate
Syndicated Capital introduces the Silent Night range of luxury mattresses and pillows. And for the first time, the Silent Night pregnancy and nursing pillows crafted to provide exceptional relief for your legs, belly, and back during pregnancy, as well as amazing back support feeding your baby. No more sleepless nights and no more hustle with breastfeeding. Check out the Super Pillow Top Orthopedic Mattress, made with 12 inches of memory foam cushioning, providing unparalleled comfort and guaranteed to last for 20 years. No mattress comes close in comfort and support. Also available are high-quality bird sheets, reversible quills, a large collection of orthopedic pillows and luxurious towels at unbelievable prices. Silent Night products are available at all Melcom shops, game stores, and Silent Night showrooms at Tema, Asylum Down, Adenta, Spintex Road, and Kumasi behind Minshia Palace. Or call 0302 242532 or 050 131 5776. Silent Night. Sleep like never before.
Get ready for the biggest gathering of football stars in Accra this year. It's the second annual Ghana Football Awards. Who wears the ultimate crown as the 2019 Ghana Footballer of the Year? Find out at the Accra Marriott Hotel on Sunday, 21st July, as winners of many other categories are announced amidst glamour and drama. The Ghana Football Awards is powered by AE Mediacom and Activate 360 and proudly supported by the Multimedia Group. Sponsors Land Rover Ghana, Nasco Electronics, Ghana Football Awards, celebrating the stars of our passion.
Coffee in your cup and joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM. Joy on the set. The Super Morning Show is always the best bet on Joy 99.7 FM.
19 minutes at the top of the hour here on the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. I'll start by apologizing to you, the listener. We've started the conversation we are supposed to have with you during the break, but we'll catch you up very, very quickly. We're going to talk about religion in Ghana and how it affects the way we do everything else in this country. That's right after we thank our friends from Afro Daniel Bachman's Last You a Lifetime and Glyco Critical Illness Plan GSIP. Glyco, we cushion you for life. Afrodan offers you the most comfortable chair in the world, the Nightingale Extreme Comfort Chair, with over 10 thoughtfully engineered features, especially customized for your health and comfort. Working has never had is this good. So go to Afrodan on the first floor of the Swansea Shopping Arcade and feel this chair. You'll be amazed. Or you can just call 0302 663 085. And of course, I'm in studio with Kwame Opon, Petrina Eduse, and Manasseh Azuriawuni. Are the solutions beyond us, citizens for change? We've already talked about indiscipline, how we behave like pirates, corruption. We're going to talk about church now. And Petrina is going to open the wine bottle for us. Petrina,
I'm here to shake the table.
Shake it.
I think I want to start from this angle, the over-reliance on religion and faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me start by saying that this whole idea of someone has seen your prosperity and so they are against you, your mother is a witch, so on and so forth, is the reason why you're not prospering, is the reason why you've lost your job. So, all these faith-based reasons. It ties into that thing you said where people want to reap where they haven't sown, right? Now, there are so many of us standing in church, raising our hands and praying to God, and we're crying and worshiping from our hearts. But in the office, how are we conducting ourselves? So I'm tying it back into corruption because I don't think they're separate from each other. So it's the idea of when you are, first of all, you have to check your conduct. But when you are praying and you're asking for a breakthrough, what are you doing? Are you asking God, give me solutions to problems that I can monetize? Are you asking for ideas? Or it's, oh, God bless me, give me a job. So I'll give this example. We're looking to hire someone. And first of all, my sister had given her, information about a job opportunity. So she called her and said, I've spoken to some people, they want to interview you tomorrow. and she called on a Thursday. Then the girl responds and says, "Oh, I'm going to the mountains to go and pray, so can you tell them to make it Monday?" This is someone who has been praying for a job for months, has been telling people, and now you've been given the opportunity to go for an interview, and her response is she's going to the mountains to pray the following day, so they should change the interview. I know certain people say, well, if you believe in the things of God, if it's important to you, everything else will be put aside. But it's like we've relied on faith so much that even when God answers our prayers, we're so stuck in religion that we don't even see it. So, yeah, I'm here to take the table and I say stop this extremism. I call it religious extremism in this case.
Religious extremism.
Exactly.
That's a strong expression.
Yes.
But you see, Manasseh, some would also say that there are elements of church culture itself which encourages thinking like this.
Well, you are right, because a lot of the time when you go to church, what you hear these days in some churches, not all churches, and those that preach, let me say, the bad sermons are those that get a lot of attention. Reverend Eastwood Anaba has a video which is trending on some social media platforms talking about the church of yesterday and the church of today, the pastor of yesterday and the pastor of today. Today we seem to attach more importance to materialism and sometimes vague spirituality instead of addressing the core reason people come to church, for salvation and for the messages against indiscipline. And we say people are corrupt. Now you go to church and some people are treated based on how much they pay in tax. So if you're a thief in society, you steal so much, your church knows that you're a thief. But you pay your tax in your tithe in bags. You'll be given the front pew. You'll be made chairman when it's time for worship. You are the person who will be asked harvest. You are the person who would be called upon to advise the church members on how to succeed in business. But your model of business is to steal from society. You're a thief. The church, they know you're a thief, but because you can pay so much, you are there training everybody how to do godly business. But in the media, everybody knows that your business is not the kind of business that one can attach godliness to. So what I'm saying is that the churches, they also have a role to play. That aside, let's come back to society. Our society or country is not run by the churches. We are governed by the Constitution, and the Constitution does not put the church as the head. So the church, every religion and every other institution should fall in line with what the Constitution says we should do. And the Constitution has also appointed people to punish or reward bad or good behaviors. So if that is the case, I am beginning to also think that sometimes we are a bit too unfair to the church, because the church is there, or all these bad things are happening because of the failure of the society. There are people, when I fall sick today, because I'm working at Multimedia Group, I have a superior health insurance that can take me to a quality healthcare facility in this country. Sometimes I walk into that hospital and within 30 minutes, I've seen a doctor and I'm out. Sometimes prescriptions are written 200, 300 Ghana cedis worth of medicine. You go to the pharmacy and they say your insurance covers this. That is because something is going on well for me because I'm working here and I have a superior insurance. Now let's take another example of another citizen just like myself.
Okay.
Called Jeremiah Arthur, who had an accident in Takoradi, who is supposed to come to 37 Military Hospital for a review, a scheduled review. And he and the mother have to leave Takoradi at midnight because they have to be in the right position of the queue. They get here around 4 a.m. Finally, they finish getting their care at 12 midday. So you have somebody going to see a doctor within a period of 30 minutes. I can see a doctor in a private hospital, very clean, neat. I don't be in a queue. Somebody also has to spend about 12 hours. And there are some who don't even get it at all. So all of these inequalities are there. And when you have a society that also worships wealth without questioning its source, including the church we are talking about, everybody would want to get as far away from the crowd as possible. So you find such people there who will do everything to get the money so that they will be able to attend the good hospitals. They'll be able to be worshipped in church. Some are even worshipped more than Christ in the churches. Yes, just because of money. So when this inequality in our system is not addressed, it finds its way into a number of places.
So is it the chicken or the egg? Because I know your pet peeve is inequality. Is it that the inequality in society is reflected in church, or the church itself is a source of this attitude in our society?
I think it's the inequality in society that is reflected in church and also worshipped in church, because we have had a number of interventions. For instance, on Friday and Saturday, I visited my mother in Bongo, in the Upper East region.
Okay.
And the village I left 20, 30 years ago is still the same as it was then.
Terrible.
You're driving and you see children in tattered school uniforms, some sitting under trees, dilapidated structures. Then you ask yourself, how are these children able to compete with their colleagues in the very good schools in Accra? Have there been interventions to at least lift these people up? There have been. And I know very well about the story of the sad saga. The same people who are supposed to be lifted up, the poor, to bridge the inequality gap, they have others who stole that money. So you find the society doing this. And then sometimes you go to some of these places, these people are supposed to go to hospital for some basic health care, would now go to churches because they feel that's where they can get miracles. So there are certain problems. See, if you ever go to any miracle center, okay, and then you hand an envelope containing 10,000 cedis to all the worshippers, in the next 10 minutes, a lot of them will go out.
You know, Ace in his book of rants, he mentioned how when he was in Joyful Way, they used to pray a lot about their vehicle not breaking down when they are going on outreach. They will pray and pray and pray, but after a while they started getting better cars. All of a sudden the prayer topics changed. I mean, the breaking down of the vehicle was also demonic.
Well, the church has now become like a place people go to seek solace because society has failed to provide them with some of the most basic things.
Kwame, do you agree?
I mean, certainly. That's what happens. And, you know, I actually have an interesting question for the co-panelists and yourself. When these same members of society, of the church, find themselves having been caught up in some kind of corrupt scandal or something, often we hear that their pastors go and plead on their behalf. Why?
Because Christ is forgiving.
and because we live in a society that they can easily be forgiven. In other countries where prime ministers and even the president would not be forgiven if they fall foul of the law, I don't think a pastor there would go to plead.
Yeah, plead
because with
Robert Mueller, you are on drugs. So make your point.
So, you know, so this is a very interesting, and, you know, the religion issue is always is one that is a lot to take in, especially looking at how it's essentially dominated our national psyche. It's quite unfortunate, and everyone has so many stories around it. Look, we're at a point now where this is absolutely the case, that everyone is turning to religion because of one concept: hope. Hope is the only reason. I mean, think about it. Hope is a concept where you don't need rational basis for it, in its very essence, and that's the only reason why some, you know, members of a society have to turn to it, because society has failed them, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, whatever the basic needs are. The lack of hope they have has drawn them to the church, and unfortunately, a lot of them have not found themselves even in the right types of environment from a church standpoint. They found themselves in the hands of these wolves who are now masquerading as churches and pastors. It's very disturbing.
I want to ask you this. Should we treat the inequality in society and our over-reliance on religion as one issue?
I think the over-reliance, the inequality, I think they are somehow interlinked, right?
But they're not the same.
But I don't think they're the same.
Okay.
they're not the same. I mean, when you look at inequality, I'll give you an example. Look at what's happening. When you look at all the development that's happening in the country, all the trade, when you do all the transaction volumes and values and whatnot, you will begin to see clearly what's happening in, for instance, the northern half of the country. And this is literally half of the country. For a very long time, people thought, you look at the map and you think Kumasi is in the center. No, half of the country, so much potential. And I spent a bit of time there. And it's just disturbing that I go back and I see the same thing. Like Manasseh, I mean, I haven't spent as much time as he probably had, but I was always shocked, right? When you look at inequality, there's a gender inequality problem that we have, and then there's the general economic inequality based on...
that exists.
The only thing we have right now, I mean, let me be honest, the one thing I support is free SHS for that particular reason. Because so far, I know we will always blow the cash. If we're going to spend it on education, I'd rather we borrow money for that, because education has shown itself to be the only, viable ladder for progression for most people in those environments.
So for those of you who were thinking that MPP, we started by saying we shouldn't be polarized politically in our discussions. So allow him to say what he's saying. Malik Abbas Dabo has joined us in the studio. Malik is like that. He's sitting in my Joy Online. When the conversation hits him, then he comes to say something. So which one hits you?
I was listening to Manasseh making rather very valid points about the unacceptably high levels of inequality in our society. And I agree 100% with him. My only point of departure from him is when he sought to draw a direct linkage between the unreasonable affinity to religion and suggesting, therefore, that the inequality is the precursor to affinity to religion. I disagree with him fundamentally. My reason is this. There are 1,001 Ghanaians living outside Ghana in societies where there are ample opportunities for leveling of everybody's opportunity. Everybody has the same access. If you apply yourself diligently, your economic situation is the same as anyone else, regardless of whatever your background is. And yet you would find that even in those societies, the Ghanaians living there, the affinity to religion is the same. There are Ghanaians who live in America and live in the US, in France and UK and elsewhere, who still will call home and they are told that there's a certain powerful pastor who can do things for them, who can pray for them. Sometimes they actually raise money to sponsor these pastors to travel there.
Sure.
I think the problem which we have is a certain corrosive mentality of quick fixes. We have not built a culture of graduation, knowing that when you do things in a certain consistent manner, you will get good results. So if you have a shop in a corner somewhere, go to the shop every day, sell, attend to your customers very well, attend to your needs, respond to them well. Consistently, people come and they are repeat purchases, and you don't dissipate the money by expending it on useless things. You can gradually accumulate revenue and expand your business. We don't have that as a cultural concept. We want quick fixes. So we want people who sell to us a false hope, an inflated perception that if you pray, manna will fall from heaven. Exactly. However deceptive that appears, we believe it. It is that wrong perception and conception that is the reason why you find so many people fall prey to otherwise charlatans masquerading as men of God. And I'm saying this with all due respect and on the part of all religions, taking undue advantage of people and fleecing them of their hard-earned money. I know people who close their shops to go and Monday they are in church, Tuesday they are in church, or they are in the mosque, they have gone to see some malam somewhere who promises them things that they cannot deliver, and there is evidence that this person himself is living is poor, is living in squalor and misery, and yet the person is promising you heaven, and you believe it. That is not inequality.
Wow. So that's people subjecting themselves to that situation. Okay, I have 1.5 minutes to finish this, so I'm going to go round and give everyone some 20 to 30 seconds.
The lady agrees with me, so let her make her point.
Well, Ketsi says ladies first, and I went to France, so I'll allow her to. Okay, but anyway, so solutions.
Yes, solution, especially for this. I think that in the churches, we have these programs, revivals, prayer until something happens, breakthrough. Those are all good and well, but then let's have seminars where you are bringing in young professionals and you're training them on human resource, money management. So while you're growing spiritually, you're growing in the things that also matter in society. How do you handle yourself in a corporate situation? Equip people. Give them training. Let job opportunities. Let them be advertised in the church. Let people come for CV building. Things like that, so that it's not just God bless me. Send someone to give me.
So the church should also be a solution itself.
Exactly.
Come here.
I'll quote of all people the former President Rawlings. He says we have to restore the value of truth in our society, and that is a very powerful statement. That's the first thing. The second thing is we need to also refocus on the value of hard work and building precept by precept. The pirate mentality is not going to work. It's short term, it always leads to calamity, and it's about time we as a society start to hold our own selves accountable, get involved, and change our mindset.
Since Manasseh is an anti-corruption crusader, we will not steal any time. So Manasseh has graciously offered to sacrifice his final comment so that we can make way for the news at the top of the hour. Because Manasseh is against corruption, so we are not stealing any time. My name is Daniel Daze. This has been the Super Morning Show on Joy 99.7 FM. Hannah Odami joins us in just a few seconds with the news at the top of the hour. Okay, Manasseh, 20 seconds.
Yes, I just want to remind Malik that inequality is not only about money or wealth, but we also have intellectual inequality. So the more enlightened you become, the more critical you get and begin to question certain practices in the church. So his point may be right, but inequality comes in a different number of ways. And when you look at people who go to enlightened countries and still behave like us, they themselves may not be that enlightened.
All right, Manasseh Azuri Awoni there, Petrine, do say thank you very much. Kwame, thank you so much for joining us. Are the solutions beyond us? I don't think they are. If you are a citizen for change, we will see the change we want to see. My name is Daniel Daze. Tomorrow, we'll be back with another Super Morning Show. Hannah is here with the news. Hi, Hannah.
Hi, Daniel. Good morning.